The views and opinions expressed on Around the Town are entirely those of the host, guest, and callers, and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the faculty, staff, and students at Elizabeth City State University or ECSU Radio and Television Services.
Welcome to another edition of Around the Town with Hez Brown. And now your host, Hezekiah Brown.
Good evening. You're tuned into Around Town with Hez Brown. Welcome to our show. 89.9 FM. Don't forget that. 89.9 FM, WRVS. Today is a really a special day for us on WRVS. And the reason it is special because we have what I feel and what many others, we share the same thoughts, an icon, a North Carolinian icon today as our special guest. And that is none other than Commissioner Cecil Perry, a county commissioner. Good afternoon, Commissioner.
Good afternoon, Dr. Brown.
Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to join with us today to kind of today capture some of the things that you have accomplished over the years and some of the things that you are working on now, and just trying to capture just a little bit about who this man is, this icon. Who is Cecil Perry? Certainly, he's more than a commissioner on the county commission. He has other things that we're going to talk about today. So let's just get into it. Commissioner, how long have you been on the Board of Commissioners?
I have been on the Board of Commissioners for 16 years. 16
years?
Yes.
That's wonderful. And I'll tell you why I say that is because I've been watching you all along during your career since I lived here. I've lived here for 15 years, and I think that when I came, maybe I'm into my 16th year because you was appointed since I've been here. And one of the things interesting about your career is that on the county commissioners, you was appointed chairman in your first term. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was appointed chairman. Commissioner John Kitchen resigned, and I was the vice chairman during the time, and I was appointed chairman when he resigned.
Right. Now you just for the audience, tell them a little bit about you. You're married and you have children, successful children, young adults now. Tell them a little bit. You're married to?
I'm married to my childhood sweetheart, Lily Perry. Mm-hmm. We've been married for 60 years, and we have 3 children. One of them in Beautiful, North Carolina. 2 of them run a dental practice in Murfreesboro, Tennessee.
So you don't have to pay for dental work then, huh?
No. None at all.
Yeah.
I've already paid for it,
right. And I think then you have another son in Tennessee, is it?
Yes. They work together. Yeah. They both work together. One actually operate the dental part of the business, and the other one operate the business part of the business, which means that when people come in, they have to actually see one or the other.
They both are dentists?
No, only one is a dentist. The other one is a business person, business major, more or less.
Yeah.
And there are a couple of hygienists there, and they manage. The one that's their business person, manages the entire operation. The dentist person is just do dental work.
But the reason I say that because also being a parent, I often say that we see you as a successful educator, successful coach, successful politician. And some people say, well, he's successful, but you're not successful unless your children are successful. Is that right?
Well, that's right. But also, I think the more important thing for us, especially as Black people, is that we carry people along with us. And I think that the one thing that I have done is carried myself in such a manner that I've had other young men to want to follow in my footsteps. And I think that's awfully important in a small community.
Well, that's why I call you an icon. That also means that you're a role model.
Well, I try to be. I mean, my Christianity is pretty much what drives me. And I think that people that are Christians will try as much as possible to help other people, and I think I've been blessed to be able to actually help an awful lot of people. to give it a good example, a lot of people they really don't know a great deal about my background because I was asked to come back here to teach other students, even though I lived on a country road. I'm from Okisco. Okisco Road.
That big city down the street.
Big city down the road. And I grew up walking approximately 3 miles back and forth to school. For 7 years, the bus would pass us from the other community, and we would move over on the other side of the ditch while the people that were on the bus would pass, because they sometimes forgot that we all, human beings. But back to what happened was after the 7 years and attending P.W. Moore High School, I went away to college. When I went away to college, after we got jobs and so forth, my brother and I, we were both asked to come back here in 1961 and teach the other students. So that was pretty much where my career began. I came back here in 1961 as a mathematics teacher. In fact, I'll mention some of the people that I had an opportunity to teach.
We're going to get to that because I'm fully aware of that. But, the other thing, you were born and raised in Pasquotank County, or was it? I
was born and raised on Okisco Road in a house without heat and all the other kinds of things that people enjoy today. And of course, I told you about the walk to school. I will always remember. But from this institution right here, I had the best teacher I ever had in my life, other than my mother and father, was a person that was trained by P.W. Moore, who was over here at this institution, training teachers to train African-American children. She was the best teacher I ever had in my life.
Commissioner, I'm fully aware of your work in the community. And I often wish there was some way that we could really let people know the contributions you made to this community. And I know that you don't look for a pat on the back. You don't look for accolades. You just go out and do whatever has to be done. So being a county commissioner, tell us a little bit about what is the role of a county commissioner? What do they really do?
Well, the county commissioners are actually responsible for our health care, our health department, our jail, our schools, and the major role with our living is through the county commissioners, because most of the funding, if you note, the taxation that we pay on houses, pay on cars, and it's taxation from North Carolina will always back to the county, and the county has to distribute it in order to help people. I don't think a lot of people know that because we don't talk a lot about what we actually do. You might read it in the paper. You think that maybe the city is the thing that provide your support, your life support. But your life support, most of your life support is done through the county. And that's pretty much the role that we play. There's so many different roles. Mental health, I can go right down the line with the things that's necessary for human living and so forth. And you would know that it's a very important element, a very important organization. That's the only reason why I participate, is because I know that through that particular process, I can help other people.
Now, let's get into the real thing. Where did you go to college?
I went to college at Hampton Institute for 2 years, and I went to college at St. Augustine College for 2 years because my director at St. Augustine College was a first cousin of mine, and it helped me financially to be able to go without the expense of my father having to actually make the big contribution to Hampton Institute.
Right. Now, I know then you came out of college and you became a math teacher. And I want to just elaborate on that a little bit, because we have so many of our young people who shy away from two things. They shy away from math and they shy away from science. So how did you become a math teacher in the day and age?
Well, one of the things that I had that I didn't mention is I had a father that was a very bright man, even though he did not have a great deal of formal education. only to the 5th grade, but perhaps one of the smartest people that I have met. What he would do all the time, he would read the Bible all the time, and he would require my brother and I to actually study whatever subjects that were taught at school. And a lot of times, my brother was actually a science and physics teacher.
Wow.
I was a math teacher. But we talked about what we learned at school all the time, every day. So mathematics was something that just always interested us because we both, we could do pretty much and understood the things that happened. To give you a good example, if I would tell you that I can multiply like 25 times 25 is 625, and my teacher taught me in the elementary school that if I multiply 25 times 25, I would multiply, in the end, it's going to be a 25, and 2 times 2 is 4. Add 2, you get 6. So I know it's 625, and I learned that when I was a very small boy. 35 times 35, 3 times 3 is 9, add 3 is 12, 1,225.
I'm just learning as you're talking.
But I won't keep on. But it's
No.
those kinds of things that interest me, and I guess that's the reason why I learned.
Let me ask this question, because this is where we sometimes fall very short in terms of education. What do you think we could do to encourage more African American students to endeavor into science, endeavor into mathematics?
Well, I think the first thing that we have to do is help people know that they can help their children by teaching them to listen to what they are told and not be disruptive. In other words, when I was principal of Pasquotank Elementary School and Central School, I taught children that you cannot repeat what you don't hear. So therefore, it's important to close your mouth. And I think that in any subject in schools, I think many times parents are not familiar with the fact that they are much a part of it, not as much a part of it, but they are part of what children think and learn as anyone. So there must be some discipline in some way that allow children to know that they have a role that they have to play by closing their mouth and not talking. But teaching them math and science, I think it depends on the interests of people. I think that some people will be interested in math and science, some will be interested in other subjects. But I think that whatever it is, I think that they need to know that they can learn it and have a desire to learn it. They have to believe that they can be successful at it. And I don't think that I talked about Christianity in the beginning. One of the things that I was taught at a very early age that I can have anything that I hope and pray for. Mm-hmm. And I really believe that. I believe that a lot of times people don't have enough faith to believe that they can have things, and they're not taught it. But I was taught to believe that I could have what if I followed the rules of life and so forth, I could have whatever I desire, my desires.
Let's pause for a moment. We will be right back with more Around the Town with Hez Brown.
This is ECSU Spotlight. The Department of Health and Physical Education prepares students for professional careers related to physical activity, recreation, and sports program management. Programs offered include physical education, teaching, and sports management with concentrations such as sports science and aquatic and fitness. Scholarships are awarded for qualifying students through the University Scholarship Program. To learn more about the Department of Health and Physical Education, go online to www.ecsu.edu.
You are now listening to Around the Town with Hez Brown.
Tell us, you said before, you could tell us about some of the folks you taught.
Okay.
And, in terms of who have moved along through the process in this process. Tell us about some of those people.
Okay. First of all, I know the most popular person is Betty Parker.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
When I think of Mayor Parker, I think of a student that I taught in high school. I think of a student that did a student teaching under me. I think of a student that I appointed at the hospital board. I just think of her progress county commissioner to mayor. And there are probably about 15 people who actually received a degree in mathematics from different universities that I taught between 1961 and until schools integrated. When they see me, they say, well, we got 15 math majors, and that, as you mentioned earlier, to me is probably because I made them think that they were much smarter than I am. but they brag about the fact that they have a degree in math. If you listen very carefully, Ms. Park, she said, I was a math teacher.
Yes, all the time.
All the time. Right. Okay. I was her math teacher. And there are probably 15 other people out there, even Judge Cole.
Mm-hmm. You taught Judge Cole?
Judge Cole was a math degree. His degree is in mathematics from Livingston College. Mm-hmm. Yes, I did teach Judge Cole.
All right.
I can go right on. General Hawthorne Proctor.
Yeah, okay.
I can go right down the line and name, I can think of, I can't think of all the names, but one of the young men I talked with last night, talked about the fact that I taught him, and he just wanted to check on me and so forth. But the young man is an airplane pilot. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm talking to a lot of people, so we could stay here for a very long time talking about, and not just the black kids, but also the white kids. Right. I have been blessed to have a lot of friends all over this county, and I just feel very blessed to have taught a lot of them. If I start calling names, Isaac Askew, who is actually over in Portsmouth, Virginia, retired school principal and so forth. They call me quite frequently and just say thank you. So I've been just blessed, like I said earlier, to just had the experience of having good people in my life.
Now, let's just go this. Not only were you a teacher, you know what I mean, but you were an administrator, right? You were a principal.
Yes.
And how long were you a principal? What was the goodness of being a principal at during this time?
Well, being a principal probably is the backbone of our society. Is actually the principal's role is, if the principal is going to succeed, he must lead. So being a principal was probably one of the highlights of my life, because it gave me an opportunity to look at employing people that were going to help run the school and so forth. Now, when I was principal, I probably did some things that were very different. I believe that principals of the school should be allowed to operate the school without a lot of outside. When I say outside, I mean the superintendent should allow them to be the principal and not try to be the principal themselves, which means that the principal must be able to look at being a person that have a vision that will allow him to see things and understand things and work with parents and so forth to make the climate such that people can learn. In fact, when I was principal of the school, I created a summer school for the elementary school without cost. Mm-hmm. The teachers volunteered to come in to help the other kids during the summertime. Money was not a factor. They would come every day. When I was at Central School, I was principal of that school for 17 years, and it was considered one of the better schools in the county. But a lot of it was from just being able to create a climate that help people know that their children could go in a safe place and learn a great deal from being in that particular place. And after I left Central, I was principal of Pasquotank Elementary School. Now, if you pass by there and look on the ground, you will see something, a granite marker out there on the ground with Cecil Perry's name written on it. The reason is because of the kind of things that we did. Now, I'll tell you one or two things that I did that was far different. You talk about volunteers. During that particular time, I went over to the prison and asked one of my friends if he would get a group of prison officers to come over to my school once a week, and I got the parents to let the children that was probably somewhat disruptive to come in and talk with them. We organized an organization that we call TOPS. Those men would come there with their uniforms on and see little boys every week. And when they would actually communicate with them, the little boys that had problems many times talking, being somewhat disruptive, would have to take a note down to the men and let them see what kind of behavior they had. Mm-hmm. And when they would see the behavior that they had, they would talk to them about not being disruptive. And what happened, it caused the school to not have discipline problems during that particular period. And also, we had volunteers from that particular group that would come in and work all the time and help the young kids, know that they should not disrupt. There was a person from the community, I'm not going to call his name at this time, that owned an airplane that would go over once a week, and he would get permission to take young children up and show them the airplane and take them up in the airplane from time to time. But if we're going to have successful schools, you must have people that will lead and not necessarily just have to read everything that they need to do. They will have a visionary, will have a mind that will allow them to see things and actually lead them.
Wonderful. Now, I know, too, that's your experience there, but it's some other things that you've done. I understand you were a coach, wrestling coach at some point. Did you do more than just wrestling, or did you coach other teams?
When schools integrated, they had a wrestling program, and as all of you know, that in rural schools and rural settings, that wrestling was not a part of the curriculum. But when I was in college, I was a college wrestler. Mm-hmm. I played football in high school at PW Moore High School, and when I went to college, I did not play football, the position that I played, because the fellows were so much larger. So I found me another career. Mm-hmm. I've started learning the wrestling. I wrestled at Hampton Institute, which had to be happening a long, long time ago. And when I came back here and I was teaching, when the Northeastern High School opened, they did not have a wrestling coach. So they asked me to start the program. So I actually implemented the wrestling program over at Northeastern High School, and I was very successful. Of course, when another job opened up that paid a little bit more money, like assistant principal, I sort of moved into the financial end, because during that particular time in raising rearing 3 children, you needed all the money that you could get. Mm-hmm. So I started that particular program there.
So now, as I said again, you have a long career. When the schools were integrated, in a sense, going way back to 1950, the Brown versus Board of Education kind of put us in perspective for integrated schools as a way to get equal education. What is your thoughts on school integration? Do you think it was good? Do you think it helped? Because I know you went to segregated schools. So what is your thought on that? You think that integration was good? It helped us? Did it set us back? Or was it the right time for that?
Well, I think it's good. I think integration is good. But I also think that we need to look at leaders that accept integration as being good. I do not think that all the time it was accepted as equal opportunity for African American people, because, as you know, prior to 1960, we had different salaries, and when we integrated schools, many times the African American people that were integrated into the system were given the jobs that others didn't want. To give you a good example of that, the only reason why I became assistant principal of a school is because the assignments that I received when I was transferred from PW Moore High School, the all-black school, into the integrated school, my subject matter the subjects that I had to teach were like arithmetic. I had taught calculus, I taught the all black school, I was given a responsibility. But when I went in the integrated school, the responsibility was so minimal that I just kind of wanted to get out of here. In fact, I was going to leave. And it so happened that the guidance counselor that was a part of my life that rode to school with me every day to help, she was one of the people that was helpful in integrating all the people. I told her that I was going to leave because I didn't enjoy teaching arithmetic when I had taught calculus and geometry and so forth. So I told her I was going to leave. And when a position of assistant principal became available, she told the principal that, that I would make a good assistant principal and asked me if I would stay if I was assistant principal. That's the only reason why I moved into that. But at the time, I did not know that for black assistant principals, it meant that you had the buses, the books, and discipline. They're the three things that were available to blacks as assistant principals in 1969, and until later on. So it meant that we had all the discipline and so forth in the schools. And I told her again, we wrote together that I was going to leave. And one day, the superintendent, they didn't want me to leave, I'm sure, because I could manage a lot of students. I understood where the problems were and so forth. And so one day the superintendent came in and asked me if I would be principal of a school, would I stay? I said, yes, I'll stay if I'm principal, because I knew it meant more money and my family, but that's pretty much the way it was. It was a little bit different, and people did not know at the time that it was important to have blacks, in particular, a part of the leadership in the organizations, and that pretty much is not that way today. So, but that's pretty much.
Mr. Commissioner, role model, Cecil Perry, I honestly, I'm honored to have had you on the program today. I think that if we can find a time to continue this discussion, because you have so much history, and I think that people really need to hear about you, not necessarily just as a county commissioner, about your contributions to this community through education. And I am certain that there are many more people who look up to you, who understood your goals, and who then went on to become good at what they do at other places. That's one of the things about a teacher and administrator. People can always come back and say, gee, and most people you talk to, they said they could remember one teacher, if no more, who kind of set the stage for their life. So we just appreciate your time you've taken out of your schedule to come here to join with us today. And we will come back and do a part 2 and talk a little bit about where do we go from here, and who could we better find to talk to about other than you. So I will conclude today by saying thank you so much for listening to Around Town with Hez Brown. As Sheila Lee say, don't change that dial.
Thank you for listening to Around the Town with Hez Brown, recorded and produced at WRVS-FM Studios on the campus of Elizabeth City State University. If you are interested in becoming an underwriter for this show, call 252-335-3985.